The novel opens outside a club in Los Angeles called The Dancers. It is late October or early November. No year is given, but internal evidence and the publication date of the novel places it between 1950 and 1952. Philip Marlowe meets a drunk named Terry Lennox, who has scars on one side of his face. They forge an uneasy friendship over the next few months, having drinks, especially gimlets, together at bars. In June, Lennox shows up late one night at Marlowe's home in a great deal of trouble and needing a ride to the airport across the border in Tijuana, Mexico. Marlowe agrees as long as Lennox does not tell him any details of why he is running. He later finds $500 left to him by Terry. On his return to Los Angeles, Marlowe learns that Lennox's wife, Sylvia, was found dead and that she had died before Lennox fled. Marlowe is arrested for aiding a suspected murderer after refusing to cooperate with investigators who want him to confess that he helped Lennox flee. After 3 days of antagonizing his interrogators, Marlowe is released, the police explaining that Lennox has been reported to have committed suicide in a small town in Mexico with a written confession by his side. Marlowe gets home to find a cryptic letter from Lennox containing a portrait of Madison, a $5,000 bill. A portrait of Madison. Marlowe gets a call from Howard Spencer, a New York publisher, who asks him to investigate a case. One of Spencer's best writers, Roger Wade, has a drinking problem and has been missing for 3 days. Initially, Marlowe refuses, but after Wade's wife, Eileen, also asks for Marlowe's help, he consents. Marlowe finally finds Wade in a makeshift detox facility in an isolated and soon-to-be-abandoned ranch. He takes his fee, but the Wades' stories do not match. The Wades each try to convince Marlowe to stay at their house to keep Roger writing instead of drinking, and though he refuses, he ends up making further trips to the house at their behest. He is invited to an awkward cocktail party, where Dr. Edward Loring threatens Wade to leave his wife Linda alone. Marlowe had accidentally met Mrs. Loring previously at a bar, where they were drinking gimlets together in memory of Terry Lennox. It turns out Linda Loring is Sylvia Lennox's sister and had known Terry well. After being called by a drunk and disoriented Roger, he arrives to find Wade passed out in the grass with a cut on his head and Mrs. Wade oddly uninterested in her husband's welfare.